Hey, welcome to Cyber Chat. I'm Alyssa, and I love talking all things AI and cybersecurity. And every podcast, I drag my non-tech friend Jen into tech conversations she has absolutely no business being in. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Cyber Chat podcast. We're super duper excited this week as we have another special guest on the podcast. A big, massive thank you to Matt for joining us. Hey, Matt.
Hi, everybody.
How are you going? What time is it for you? How are you doing?
I'm just up the coast. I'm in Sydney, so it's 6:30. Yeah.
6:30, fantastic, lovely Monday night. Yep, nothing better on a Monday night than to be connected in the afternoon talking tech. So no, very keen. I'm Alyssa. I'm joined here with Jennifer.
Of course.
And yeah, we're super duper excited to get into it. So we'll start off. Matt, would you like to do a bit of an intro to yourself, what you do?
Sure. So I am my day job is I'm a technical account manager for Wiz. They're a cybersecurity company, and what I do in any given day is our largest customers, they have an additional level of support where I walk them through product updates, the latest, emerging attacks, things that might be interesting to them, product updates, just making sure that they're on top of everything that they need to be safe. Yeah.
Awesome. And I hear you got an accent. Where's that from?
Yes, you could tell by my accent I'm from North Sydney. No, I actually moved. I moved to Australia over 10 years ago. So originally, I'm from Austin, Texas. So yeah, I moved my family here, and we're pretty happy. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, were you also in tech back in Austin as well?
Oh yeah. I started as a developer and kind of bounced around in different roles. Eventually, I got into like open source. And I did like community management and evangelism stuff, and then I went into a little product marketing and then product management. And eventually I was working for an open source company doing partner platform integrations, like partner integrations. And so that's a weird kind of engineering where we were mostly getting things ready for demos and Amazon's announcing a new product and they need a partner to be at the launch to show off how it works. And so it's not engineering. It actually, in the org chart, I was in business development, which they're the ones who do all the weird, things that don't neatly fit in other boxes. And so my manager was at the time, he was like, hey, we need somebody to go to APAC and start our business there. And because I'd had all these like weirdly different roles, I was like, yeah, I could do that. And so I'd never been to Australia when I volunteered. And it was supposed to be a 1-year thing. And then, one turned into 2, 3, 4, and here we are. So
here we are, stuck here. Here. When you moved straight to Sydney, or have you done a bit of like Melbourne, Queensland, anywhere else?
So yeah, the first time I came was like May of 2016, something like that, and I just came to like see where I was going, and interview a sales rep to work with, and then I came back again to figure out where I was going to live. And I just happened, there was a former coworker of my boss who was living in Clontarf. It's a suburb of Sydney near Manly. And he showed me around and he's like, oh, if you're only staying for a year, you want to live either, I knew I wanted to live either in Manly or Bondi, right? Coming to Australia, you're going to live at the beach. He's like, you don't want to live in Bondi. You don't want to live in Bondi. So he convinced me to live in the northern beaches. And I've been here since. So
that's amazing.
I bought a house and I'm stuck here. Yeah. In a good way.
Happily stuck here. Do you do a bit of travel for your role? Are you interstate much?
I did. Yeah. Before with the previous company, it was a company called Chef. They were, open source configuration management. And because we were launching the APAC business, it was, I put up a lot of mileage. And I went, Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore,
Wow.
India, all over Australia, New Zealand, of course. And so initially it was, you know, making sure that the customers we had were happy, and then looking for partners to, build and hire out, a sales team, which, is where I got our mutual friend. He was the third Australian on the team, and so the three of us were like, all over the place. And eventually I pivoted from, kind of pre-sales to post-sales. And then we got up to about 10 people. And we were doing still a lot of travel, but eventually COVID happened. COVID happened, the company got acquired, and that just kind of shut down all travel. And then I left, and went to another company during COVID, and they went under. And then I went to another company, and they got acquired, and I left and joined Wiz. So
fantastic.
yeah,
Very diverse, very diverse.
Yeah, you've dabbled in a lot of different things and roles
And places.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
So, well, the fun thing was, I only expected I was going to be here for like 1 year, and then we'll do another year. And so each time it was like, well, because it's my last year, we should hit as many conferences as possible. We should go to as many meetups as possible. So I went. I've done like meetups all over Australia, all over New Zealand. DevOps Days Tokyo, that kind of stuff, and Jakarta, and I kind of miss it at times. I lost all my status. I lost all my used up all my mileage, but it's also fun just being home, right? So
no, for sure. Yeah, the travel's definitely fun, but it can definitely get exhausting at the same time. I can imagine.
Well, the travel here is a lot more interesting than it was back in the US. I mean, no offense to the US, but I'd rather go to Jakarta than Cleveland. So
true, but I guess in the US, is everything shorter? Like they're just
definitely. Yeah. It was like, you're taking a 2-hour flight to here, or 3-hour flight to here, and here's like, I think in 2019 I went to Singapore 11 times, and that's a 7.5-hour flight, and so it's like, the first 5 hours you're still in Australia.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it?
Definitely the last two.
You look at that map and you're like, oh my god,
I'm still here. Yeah.
Now, to the side of your work, you also have a podcast. So, want to give it a cheeky plug?
Yeah. So I have a podcast that we've been doing, I think, since 2014, maybe longer. Wow. It's called Software Defined Talk. And I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Cote and Brandon Wichard, and the three of us all started in Austin, Texas, and then I up and moved to Australia, and my other co-host Cote, he moved to Amsterdam, and so time zones are terrible. Time zones are terrible. I'm frequently recording at 6 a.m. And he's at like 9 p.m. And then Brandon's in the middle. It gets better with, as we get closer to summer, but time zones are terrible, but we've been doing the podcast. We have a really good listener base. We have a Slack channel that has a couple hundreds of people in it. And so people are, we've got, talking about tech news mostly. We're kind of this intersection of enterprise software and open source, which is where we kind of got our start. And then because we're all middle-aged guys with kids, sometimes we're off on weird tangents about the grocery stores in Australia versus Amsterdam, or what how we're dealing with AI in our families and that kind of stuff. But it's irreverent. It is not. It's not very scripted. We have because we have our channel of listeners in Slack. They're always posting articles that we have discussions there, and then we put those all into a big note, into like a shared doc of like, well, let's talk about this things this week, and then anything we don't get to, we just dump in the show notes and move on to the next week. And so Yeah, I think we're up to 800 episodes. I don't know how many episodes. A lot. So we record weekly. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
That's insane.
And has it been weekly since you started? Have you locked in and stayed committed, or?
Yeah, we've been pretty good. I mean, with the three of us, if somebody can't make it, the other two can cover, and occasionally we'll have interviews of other folks. So we may be just one-on-one with in an interview, and then we've had several like spawn-off podcasts. We've almost got like a little podcast network. Those have come and gone over the years. Currently, we have another like sister podcast called Software Defined Interviews. That the Cote is one of the hosts, and the other host, Whitney. They're both in tech, but he's an old hand like myself, and she's new to tech, but has had like an interesting life before tech as a photographer, and so it's they are interviewing different folks, and not always tech, and so that's kind of interesting. But and then we've other ones have come and gone, and maybe they'll come back, so I don't want to jinx them.
Is there an episode or a guest where you remember and you're like, this is peak, this is the best we've done?
The best one we've done, hands
down. Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had like some interviews over the years that have been interesting folks. There was we had like some guest hosts who went and interviewed David Henmeyer Heinzen from the Rails project. That one was interesting. We trying to think who's really jumped out.
They all
I mean, some of the companies aren't like necessarily household names, but they're always interesting, but generally it's just the three of us kind of talking through news, and there's some themes that have popped up that are always like they almost become inside jokes, or everyone just knows like, well, there's some new open source license, that we're going to have to talk about that, or this week I think, what did we talk about last week? We talked about the open AI and the Hugging Face. What was happening with that. We generally don't try to talk about our employers too much, but working at Wiz, we talk about security a lot. Cote works at VMware, Broadcom, so they're always entertaining. We sometimes we just kind of step back and let the other hosts talk about like our employers, but it's generally good. Yeah.
Yeah, are you finding more and more AI has naturally weaved its way into your career?
Oh gosh, too much. Yeah. I between the three of us, like my co-host Brandon, he's in Claude like nonstop. And he's full on that, and very, very on top of all the latest technologies on that, and so Cote is very much into it, and I'm not skeptical, but I just don't use that. Like, I just don't have the need, because I spend all day in my day job working with AI. There's a lot of Gemini, and Wiz has a lot of internal AI bots and stuff. So it's like, I just don't use that. I try to take a break, but it has kind of rotated a bit into, more and more AI. Like Brandon also is like kind of the permanent guest host over on what used to be the used to be called the Cloudcast. I'm drawing a blank on the new name. So yes, the Cloudcast is now the Enterprise AI show. So they've gone full on, and so they bring in interviews with various folks around AI, as well as have recurring like monthly news. And so there's a lot of crossover between our podcasts, because Brandon's on there frequently. I've been on theirs. They've been on ours. There's a fair amount of pollination. They're much more on message than we are. So if you're looking for a professional talking about AI, Enterprise AI show is good. And we're kind of like part of a podcast network. So
that's really cool.
Very interesting. Yeah. Very nice.
What made the three of you back in 2014 go, let's start a podcast? What was the trigger to be like, let's do this?
So Cote and I had we worked at a startup a long time ago that Cote literally was one of the founders as a high school student. One of his classmates' dad was like, "Hey, does anybody know how to write computer stuff? I want to do online banking for small community banks." And he got his son's high school friends to do the development.
That's the best.
No way.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. And they had customers, and I bounced around with a couple of other small companies, and needed a job, and I joined these guys, a company called 360 Commerce, and or no, it was Funds Express. Sorry, so I joined Funds Express and worked with Cote, and then we went off and started another company that went under. We didn't go under, we hadn't made it yet, and our venture capital got pulled at one of the various Black Friday events of back in the olden days, when pets.com went under, that kind of stuff. And then went back to other companies, and then I caught up with Cote again at a company called BMC Software, a big monitoring company that still around, and he and I shared an office. And kind of on the side, he was doing podcasts, just and blogging about tech news, just freelance for fun. He liked writing, and he got invited to join an analyst firm, as a little tiny boutique analyst firm. And we were sharing an office and just kind of talking about it. He's like, "Well, should I do this, or should I keep being a developer?" And I was like, "Well, you're not a very good developer." I mean, we were fine. We were good enough, but that was where his true talents were, right?
Yeah.
And so he went off and did that, but he was always doing podcasts, and that was just he'd have, literally, the man has had like dozens of podcasts, different titles with different people.
Yeah.
And so he and Brandon had one, and it kind of fizzled out, and then they were like, "Well, we need to do another one." It's just the urge. And for whatever reason, we have stuck at that one, and Cote's got other ones that have come and gone over the time, but this one, it's survived. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, and you've put out over hundreds and hundreds of episodes. So what are your
584 is how many.
584.
Yeah.
There you go, to be exact. But what is your advice for people like us who are just starting out, barely figuring out how to connect our mics and figuring out how to use Google Meet?
Yeah, I mean, I would say don't take it too seriously, but just plan on making it regular. If you don't put it on the calendar and repeat it, you'll have excuses not to do it. And having 3 people is easier than 2, because having a third means that if for whatever reason somebody can't make it, you can always go on with 2. We've all got families and stuff, things happen, travel, whatever it may be. Somebody gets sick, you just keep rolling. And I wouldn't over focus on too much editing. The tools are pretty good for take notes about like where maybe someone flubs or something like that. Cut those out if you need to, but don't overthink it, because it's a marathon, not a sprint, and you're going to be doing this for a while, and just make sure you're having fun.
Exactly it.
I think that's the whole point of a podcast anyways, is just to let that raw kind of talk go on.
Yeah. And if you can foster a community, if you can find people who like your show, listen to you, if you can give them places to like talk with each other, like we give out stickers occasionally, so we just say like, send an email to stickers@softwaredefineddoc.com, and we will send you stickers anywhere in the world. And we've sent them, I'm not sure what the count is, it's probably like 50 60 countries. And so we've got, we just send people stickers for whatever reason. They put them on laptops and water bottles, and it's kind of juvenile, but whatever. And then we've got our Slack, and the Slack channel has, we've got a Gen AI channel, we have a news backlog, but we also have channels about like food and books and movies, and just random fun stuff. And so like I don't imagine that most people listen to all of our shows. but they're just kind of hanging out, and it's just kind of a nice place to have a quiet corner of the internet.
And build more like community. Like I think with your diversity of your podcasts, I'm sure you have a big like fan base that feel more than just a fan base. They feel like a sibling or cousin.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like we're hanging out, and then it just happens to be the three of us have a mic and get recorded. But the others, like, we've got people who've been in there for 10 years. Like, just they'll just pop in, pop out, and some come and go, and that's what it is.
Nice. Well, you heard it here first. We're looking for a third member.
Looking for another one.
When you started the podcast and you started hosting and things like that, were you really natural in front of the camera? How did you find that journey on having a mic and being recorded? Because
I mean, none of us have like stage fright or anything like that, which some people just they don't want to talk. When you put me, I think I tend to talk more the more nervous I get. And which kind of works well in my day job, because I kind of think out loud and talk through things with customers, and I would like that process. I'd rather have somebody you can see how they're thinking and talking it out, rather than just say like dead silence and then like it's this. It's and between the three of us, we're kind of all that way. And so and I mentioned going to meetups and conferences and speaking places. Like I've one of my marketing folks at my current company was like, oh, are you nervous about speaking? And I was like, I literally have no idea how many times I've been in front of audiences. It's so it doesn't faze me at all. Some people, I was a founder of DevOps Days Austin, and we had a speaker who they were like, they had this talk, it went really well, and the guy was just nervous out of his mind, and at the end of his talk he's like, thank you very much, I'm never doing this again.
Public speaking is a different beast for sure. Definitely. You got to practice.
And a podcast it's actually private. My because what's funny is some of my family and friends are like, you have a podcast? They don't know. I don't talk to them about it, but also like outside of it, I'm kind of introverted. When I'm not talking to people for work or podcasts, I'm kind of quiet. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's a really interesting dynamic, actually, because your role as a TAM, it's customer facing, you're interacting with people all the time. But outside of your work, would you define yourself as a bit more introverted, would you say? Or
oh yeah. I mean, I I live in the woods and I work from home. I mean, it's not really in the woods, it's French's Forest, so it's it's got some woods around me, wallabies and stuff, but it's still the same. But yeah, I working from home, I don't actually have to go out all that much, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you balance that dynamic? But I guess that's where working from home definitely is better. I prefer taking my
It's definitely better. Yes. It's not for everyone.
The city. How long would a trip into the city be for you?
Probably an hour. Yeah. So Wiz was acquired by Google, and so now Google's got offices. You're familiar with Sydney. It's near Darling Harbor, Piermont. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to.
Actually, it's a nice one.
Nice. Head to the Google offices.
We have to go there.
Awesome. So as your role as a TAM, what does your day-to-day look like? What does that involve?
Yeah. So as a TAM, I've got a roster of 8 to 15 customers at any given time who they're larger enterprises, like online retailers, insurance companies, banking, you would recognize the names of the a lot of the customers I work with, and I usually have a call with them, just like fortnightly, where we walk through what they're doing, what we talked about last time, what's new in the product. And then, so I've got those recurring calls with them. And then I generally have like either Slack or Teams channels with most of them, if they're certain size. And, they might have questions during the day. They just kind of pop in and, I'll answer those. And then, so any given day, I probably have, 3 or 4 hours of calls with customers, and then there's a lot of like planning and follow up, and so there may be additional workshops, deep diving into certain topics, like AI modeling, or how to get your tagging straight, or whatever it may be. And so that's a fair amount of what day to day looks like. Yeah.
And you've done pre-sales as well.
Yeah.
What do you find the biggest differentiators between the both of them are?
Yeah, I mean, when I moved to Australia, like as in the pre-sales role, it was kind of easy because as an open source product, people had access to the code. They were using it, and so a lot of times we had a really warm introduction where they were like, "Hey, we want to pay you guys because we need this set of features, or we need this level of support." And so it wasn't particularly difficult compared to out there like fighting tooth and nail with some unknown product that people didn't know about. Like everybody knew Chef, and so that generally got us in the door pretty easily. And then when I look at how the sales folks at other organizations I've been at, Wiz and others, it's like it's much harder if you don't have that traction already. If you're unknown, like we were a very popular open source project.
Yeah.
So it was like, the leads were inbound. We were going out to meet people who already were using our stuff, and we just needed to convince them to pay us money. And so I generally prefer post sales side of things, because outside of the open source use cases, where generally if you are a large enough project, it's warm leads. If it's not, you're out there competing against other products, you're going through POVs, you're analyzing the business cases, and you have to like convince them to change off of things that they weren't, that to your product, convince them it's better. It's a lot more combative. And in post sales, it's generally my job is to make sure that they're getting the maximum usage of that product and succeeding with it. Sometimes when I was at Chef, the title was customer success manager, and you're making sure that they're happy with this product, and when they have a complaint, a bug, you're chasing it down, you're making sure that it gets resolved to their liking. And so the reason large enterprises pay for that is because you are their trusted guide. You're out there like making sure this insurance company's point of view is heard in product, and I'm looking out on their behalf, like, oh, there's this new set of features that I really want you guys to get early access to, that kind of stuff. And so that's my pitch to any enterprise listeners out there, is like, there's value in having a technical account manager. If you're big enough, like obviously you pay a premium for it, but I had a customer upgrade to that, on a call today, and I was just like, wow, I didn't know that they were upgrading, and they're like, oh yeah, we're totally upgrading so we can get this access. I was like, excellent.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask, with the boost of AI and technology, would you say it's made your job easier or harder in this term that you've been working?
I don't think it's made it easier, because everything's accelerated, and especially in security. So from the things that make my job easier side of things, we have a lot more internal AIs reviewing documentation and Jira and providing guidance. So if I have a question, the question is, oh, how do I, do we support this thing? And I can go to our internal AIs and say like, hey, what's the state of this coverage? And it can be like, here's all the conversations from Slack related to that. Here's the Jira tickets tracking that feature. It's reviewed the documentation, and it might say like, oh, this is how you would do it. I came across a case today where it was hallucinating. So it does happen, but if you're in a product all day long and immersed in it, you're like, thanks for showing me what I knew was there somewhere, but it finds things for you, right? And I had a customer said, I want to do this thing. Is that supported? And I was like, I don't think it is. So I went and found it found the Jira ticket for me, so I could add the customer to that ticket and let them know, yeah, I'm tracking it for you now. So that's the good side of things. The bad side of things is we're in security. And in case you haven't noticed, this has been a crazy year for security. And the threat landscape has just gone astronomical in the last 6 months especially. And so Wiz got acquired by Google, and that's been its own fun transition. But we've kind of transitioned away from just, let's get your cloud security posture straight, let's lock down your VMs, and now it's like, how fast can you do that? How fast can you react to this thing's coming in, you have to respond to it immediately. And so I've had a number of calls with customers where it's like, hey, we're getting alerts that you guys are being attacked by this. Are you across that? Are you have you seen this? Are you on top of it? Because literally a year ago, it was like, oh, there's a critical risk issue. You probably need to deal with it this week. And now you need to deal with it, in less than 12 hours. There's a new CVE out, and 0 days are catching up, an hour after it gets published. It's just crazy.
It'd be very stressful. Yeah.
But the nice thing about being the TAM is I'm not the one holding a pager, right? So I get to tell customers hey, I'm here. I'm going to answer any questions you have, but I don't have SLAs, right? If you need to get something dealt with, we have support, right? So they're the ones who we have strict SLAs about how fast we respond with escalation patterns. My job is just I'm your coach, right? I'm here to tell you what you could be doing, how to do it better, and help you out in a pinch. But I'm going to call in help. We have an incident response team. I'm not that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could ever do a high stakes on-call role like that. That would stress me out.
Yeah, well, and we have AI to help with that now too. And so it's just crazy. It's it's this arms race between the attackers and the defenders. So
yeah, it definitely made things interesting. Definitely. Whole new landscape we're dealing with, and it's still early days. Things are changing so constantly. We're seeing these new models like Fable, Mythos, the new ChatGPT one as well, with their new attack patterns and the way they're able to map things out. It's a scary landscape, but fun times.
Yeah, it's good for sales.
For biz. Awesome. We might jump into the next segment, which is Convince Me.
Know how I feel. Why would you say that?
Matt, you've been doing software defined talk for quite a few years now. You've released, as we've said, 584 episodes. It's really exciting. And I mean, doing a podcast, it's got a lot of work, right? It's crazy time zones, as you called out. You've stayed consistent for so long. I guess my question to you is, does the effort justify the reward? Is committing to doing something like this podcast long-term, something you're finding really fulfilling and something you're happy you've kept up in the long term?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there have been opportunities from the podcast, getting to meet people, getting to talk to folks. Occasionally we do have sponsorships, so it's a little extra money sometimes. I've used it to leverage speaking at conferences, keynoting here and there, and other talks. We had some media sponsorships where some of Microsoft's events where they actually paid for my travel, and getting to go to KubeCon, and they didn't pay my travel, but they gave me a pass, and I got to use the media room and do interviews and talk to folks, and so it's
good incentive.
It's fun doing that sort of stuff, and so it's good for your career. It forces me to stay on top of things, and to go and read like, well, why is this actually interesting? Why do I care about this? And talking through it gives me a chance to come around on some of my thinking on things, or think through it out loud. Doesn't always reflect in the day job, but it has helped me get jobs in the past. So
awesome. I'm convinced. We're keeping it up.
I'm convinced. Yeah.
The downside, of course, is like, how many hours of podcast can you listen to? I literally have like 300 hours on my phone of things I haven't listened to, from other podcasts. And so it's always that sad time. Like once a month, I just kind of go and delete everything that's more than a year old. I'm like, never, ever catching up.
Yeah.
Are you a podcast or music type of guy? Which do you prefer to pop on if you're doing something?
Both. I mean, it depends what I'm doing. I back a long time ago, when I was at uni, I worked at the student radio station, and I was in a small band, and worked at South by Southwest, which is a big music conference in Austin. I'd volunteer and do like stage crew and stuff. So I was really into music for a long time, and podcasts came after that. So like while I'm working, I've got music on in the background, but never anything with like words. I can't really concentrate with words. But so I've got stuff going on in the background. But then when I'm driving around the car, I've got podcasts on or audiobooks. Sometimes I run a bit here and there, and so like I would just like listen to 8 hours of audiobooks while working towards the city marathon. So you just put on some headphones and go run around the woods for an hour. It's fun.
Sounds like a great night.
Sounds like the best and most fun.
Well, don't you ever wonder what people are listening to when they're like running or walking or
I'm such a music person though. If I'm going for a run, I need something that's like loud shouting at me.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear my thoughts, because then I'll be like, oh my god, this sucks. Like,
get me out, please.
Well, so yeah, that's where like podcasts. So I would go between audiobooks and podcasts and music, and it depends like where I am and what I'm thinking. So, but like I ran the city marathon not last year, the year before, and so I had to do a lot of running and to get ready for it, and literally it was just like, well, I went through a lot of books.
It's a win-win actually. I should maybe make the pivot.
Training the brain and the body, everything.
But normally it's just so you put on some high energy something or other and go with that. Podcasts are slow and plodding.
Yeah.
and books are too, but it's like if you're just putting in the miles to put in the miles, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can imagine like a horror book as you're running through the woods. That feels like that's your face, right?
In the dark.
Marathon training too.
Exactly.
No, flashlight out.
Oh god.
No issues with that one.
Nope.
Final segment is bot or not. So as we've called out, you've got your own podcast, and I thought it would be a bit of fun to test you on some of the episodes. I don't think I've dove too far back. I want to say I went as far back as May, and I've got 3 audio snippets.
Oh, okay.
I won't say how many out of the 3, but some of them are genuine snippets from the podcast. Some of them are AI generated, that has been audio generated based
Notebook LLM and
you can get a tinkering around to generate a fake quote. So I got ChatGPT to write me a fake quote based on some of the other discussions in the podcast, audio gen a voice based on one of your co-hosts, and then or yourself even, and then pop that into AI. So I'm going to play you 3 audio snippets, and I'll play one at a time. and I'll get you to guess whether you think it is bot, so AI generated, or not AI, human generated. Sorry. So
yeah, do you think you'll be any good at this one?
Yes. I don't know. Yeah, because there's so much audio existing. So if it's something I've heard, obviously if I was in the conversation, I'll probably remember it. Hopefully.
I did make sure there were episodes you were in as well, so I wasn't that cruel. I was like, I'll be a bit nice. I've been a bit cruel to Jennifer actually, so I was like, I might need to ease up on how it's becoming a bit of a power trip. Actually, this is a fun game. Awesome. So they're pretty short snippets. I've kept them pretty short and sweet. So this is snippet number 1, and I'm just gonna have to awkwardly play it into my mic.
And I have a thick Southern accent, and I'll be like, I'm just a country lawyer judge here, but I say no, sir, to you, Mr. Claude. And I have a thick Southern.
I feel like that's something I said. Yes, I was. I'm going to go with not a bot. I feel like that was me. I probably was stumbling over a Futurama reference about a space chicken. Yeah, I think that was real.
You think that was real? Awesome. So we'll lock that in. I'll reveal the answers at the end. We'll do all 3.
Okay.
I'll keep it in suspense. But all right, we've locked in that is real, and you really think that's yourself as well. Awesome. I guess we're playing 2 games.
It's how much do you know yourself?
Yeah.
That adds an extra layer to it.
And the thing is, like, recording at 6 a.m. Sometimes I'm waiting for my coffee to kick in, and so the podcasts usually start kind of quiet and build up over time.
Yeah, waking up as you go. I like that.
Awesome. So this is snippet number 2.
Every time someone says, "This will change everything," I assume they're about to sell me something.
I feel like that it sounded a little clipped. I think that one's AI. I feel like that's something that we probably have talked about. But I think that one's AI.
Yeah, and you going based off the audio quality for that
audio, the way the pauses seem to be in there. That's my guess.
Language, would you say that is more?
The topic is probably right. Yeah, I mean we're all eternally jaded and skeptical of many things. So yeah, that's probably legit.
Awesome.
The content is probably there. I just don't know if that one was actually said.
Okay, makes sense.
So we'll lock in.
So that one's
for that.
I think all right.
Snippet 3, last one. Let me get this one up.
Anyone wouldn't cheat on their homework. It would be the Pope. Anyone wouldn't cheat on.
I remember that episode. I don't recall the Pope. We've talked about the Pope as an AI investor, but not about as a homework cheater. So I'm going to go with that one's AI.
So that's AI we're going with.
Well, that's where I'm going. I don't remember. I remember a couple episodes back we talked about the college professor who put the white text on the white space to tell the students to bring up Madagascar in their economics papers. And like 30 out of 35 did. They were just copying and pasting it and not reading the output. And it's like, my pro tip is read the content that gets generated.
It's too many words.
But that's such a low barrier. And that at least proves that you've like read through it. I mean, you have to know to use AI, you have to leverage you still have to go through and review it because it is wrong sometimes. And this professor just caught more than 90% of his students.
I'm in that 90%. I'll tell you that would have been me.
Like Madagascar checks out.
Yeah, makes sense. You know what? I will say it is so good to be on the other end of this and not guessing them. So I'm just going to throw that out there. This is a win for me.
I traumatized Jennifer in the past episodes. I feel a bit bad, but it's also really funny. She's not. We need to make a leaderboard for this with all the guests.
I'm stagnant number 1. Okay, you have to win against me. Good luck. I do the editing of the podcast. Good luck beating me.
Only because she edits.
She goes back and rewrites it with AI.
She's clipping stuff, but she's like, "Oh no, you got that one wrong."
Second.
Exactly.
No, all right. I'll reveal the answers.
So how did I do?
Please, you did really well. So that first one, yes, was yourself, and yes, that was from an episode. So well done there. The second one, you're bang on again. That was AI generated. So that was generated based off, I just pulled some random quotes from different episodes, popped it into ChatGPT and said, give me some quotes that sound similar to this, like in this tone of voice. Grabbed one of those, popped that into an AI voice gen tool, grabbed some audio snippets of the podcast, fed that in as the sample and got it to produce that. So well done there. That was a great pickup. But that third one was actually real from the podcast.
I accused the Pope of cheating?
I don't think it was you, to be fair. I think it was Brandon's.
Excellent.
Yeah. Wipe your hands free on that one.
Yeah, I remember what I said.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the important part. That'd be scary if you didn't actually. Well done. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. This has been heaps of fun. Everyone, check out Matt's Software Defined Talk podcast. Really good listen, really enjoying it. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.